I know this is the Ask a Swim Pro show, so we need to talk about swimming. So, I've seen some YouTube videos. I know you've shared some things about swimming, but let's rewind. How did you first learn how to swim, and walk us through that story?
Yeah, so although I'm from Wyoming and that's where all my family's originally from, I had a couple of aunts that moved to Phoenix, Arizona, and so we would go visit in the summer a lot. And they both had pools in their backyard, and I really loved swimming. It was something that I really enjoyed. But up until about I was like 5 or 6. I used the big 1980s like floaties that like took up my whole body to like float in the pool. And at some point I was like, well, I want to be able to learn how to swim without these. And so my parents were really lovely and always treated me just like everyone else when it came to that sort of stuff. So like, well, sure, let's put you in swimming lessons. And I couldn't quite keep up in the beginning. So we found an incredible teacher in Wyoming who taught me privately to learn how to swim. And she was amazing. And that's sort of where my swim journey began. It began as a kid, just loving to be in the water, but then to actually learn how to swim started with private swimming lessons as a kid.
Mm-hmm. And then, fast forward to today and you're swimming. And I bet, a lot of people question, how do you swim if you don't have legs? Like what is your response?
Yeah, so I use my arms instead. And because, I don't have the weight of my legs to weigh me down, I weigh less. I'm not going to set any records with speed by any means, but, just using my hands and treading water with my hands, just like y'all would do. I just don't have the feet to kick behind me. And it's the same. I can do all of the other sort of strokes that everyone else can do. I'm not the greatest at butterfly, only because I feel like your legs really provide more power to propel you. And my arms are pretty powerful, but not quite enough to like keep me afloat and keep going. But yeah, I do it just like everyone else.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And I've seen in videos you doing flip turns and, describe what it's like to swim as someone without having legs.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I went on after I took private lessons to like, I knew that I couldn't do it competitively, but I really enjoyed it. So I continued lessons all throughout my adolescence and really learned how to, perfect my strokes and those sorts of things. And for me, what swimming does and what it's like without legs, it's hard for me to like articulate what that is because I don't know what it's like to swim with legs. I guess my assumption is I float a bit easier. It is the first piece to answer that part of your question. And then, learning all the strokes and learning all the turns and stuff was really important to me because I wanted to be able to do it just like everyone else, you know what I mean? Or to the best of my ability. What it feels like to me is what I assume it feels like to be an astronaut and to like have zero gravity, to sort of like throw your body through the water and to, for the most part, be, on the surface. I assume that's what it feels like. Again, it's hard for me to know without having the experience of like having the weight of my legs to sort of weigh me down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. I wish we could all experience space flight one day. Elon Musk is doing something about that. We'll see. In terms of like your actual swimming training, like what would a workout look like for you? In terms of, distance, how do you break it up? How do you think about setting up your workout?
Yeah, this is a great question. And, swimming for me has been super helpful because, running on my hands or in my wheelchair, I don't know, I don't get the results that I'm hoping for. So swimming has always been a way for me to do cardio. And it was even a way for me in gym class, you know what I mean? I got to take swimming instead of gym. And that was another way we swam the mile instead of running the mile, So it was those sorts of things that initially appealed me to swimming. But to answer your question about what do my workouts look like, it just depends on the day. I will just swim as far as my body will let me. Usually I try to do at least 15 to 20 laps. Now, I got to be honest, I haven't been swimming at all, obviously, during the pandemic. All the pools are closed here in Ontario and we don't have access to them right now. But yeah, and I usually start with like a warm up where I just like kick on my back for a couple of laps. And then I'll do, a mixture of sort of front crawl and then breaststroke and then backstroke. And I just alternate depending on how I'm feeling. Because I walk on my arms so much, my shoulders can get sore. So I just sort of listen to my body and whatever strokes feel comfortable that day. And wherever I can push myself, I'll do that. But yeah, I would usually try, because I traveled so much, I would try to swim every day if possible, but that wasn't always possible.
Mm-hmm. And what impact would you say swimming has had on your life?
Yeah, I think for me, I haven't really connected with a lot of sports necessarily. And so being able to swim, although again, I haven't done it competitively, has been a nice way for me to engage in a team sport. Like I was a cheerleader in high school, it was so fun, but like that was then, you know what I mean? And so swimming is something that I can do lifelong. And on the flip side too, it's been really good for my health because swimming is so good for your body and specifically for your arms. And so I've had a couple of shoulder injuries here or there, and being able to swim was the only way that I could get exercise. So it's been a huge part of my life, and also I just really enjoy it. I just think it's really fun.